Good afternoon, everyone. It is Sunday, August the 2nd, 2020. It is currently 2:51 p.m. Central Time. I'm here at Victory Baptist Church, and you can tell that I'm speaking slowly because I don't even know if I want to speak. I don't, to be honest with you, I don't even want to be here right now. I don't want to be sitting before this microphone, and I don't want to be doing a live broadcast. But I believe that what I have to say may be important. You see, in your Christian life and in my Christian life, we first have the facts of Christianity. We have what the Bible says, we have theology, we have doctrine, we have the biblical principles. We have all of this information. Hey, this is how we are to think. This is how we're to live. Here's biblical wisdom versus worldly wisdom. This is how we are to look at life. All right. Then we have life itself. Right. So we have the truth of Christianity. We have the facts about Christianity. We have all this information, and then we have life. Right. And sometimes in life, it's very difficult to take those facts and that information and that doctrine and that theology and to put it into practice when dealing with the reality of life, because sometimes the reality of life is messy, difficult, frustrating, painful, tragic. I mean, you add the words to it, and sometimes it's like, okay, here's what the Bible says. Now, how does that work? How do I apply that when things don't go right, when everything is falling apart? And again, there's different levels. By no means am I comparing what I've gone through today, and I'll be telling you about in a minute, with horrible tragedy. So don't think that. But it will serve as a picture of this principle that I'm trying to get across. We have the truth, and then we have life. And life sometimes is messy and things don't always work. And it can be frustrating to go, okay, now how do I put this into practice right now? How do I live this out right now? For example, this morning at Victory Baptist Church, before I tell you everything that happened, let me mark my Bible here because we're going to be coming back to this part of Proverbs. This morning, I read these words: "My brethren, count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptations, when you fall into diverse trials and tribulations and difficulties. Count it all joy." And we talked a little bit during the Sunday school hour about God's wisdom. We need God's wisdom. We need a spiritual wisdom and a biblical wisdom to view trials and troubles that way. That, hey, we count it all joy because we know that in this some spiritual good can come from it, even though it may not produce a good from a physical perspective or a materialistic perspective. And so that I talked about that, and I understand that principle. I do. And then the day continued, and everything fell apart. And I'm going to be honest with you, I wasn't counting it all joy. In fact, on my drive back here to church, after I went home to get some food, I wasn't counting it all joy. Nope, was not counting it all joy. In fact, it was funny. On the way to church, I was out loud to myself saying, I'm just so grateful for my life. Things have gone so good in my life, and just kind of, thankful for all the different, there's been difficulties in my life, but I'm very grateful for how things have turned out. But on the way back to church this afternoon, no, I was more like, life is horrible. Life stinks. This day stinks. I want this day to be over. And I was basically having a pity party. And you can say, well, that's not very spiritual. I know. Do you want fake spirituality or do you want reality? Reality is, I'm telling you that I know the biblical principles and the truth, but sometimes putting them into practice in a real life is difficult. Now, why am I saying all of this? Why? You may be a little confused. If you were listening to the sermon from Victory Baptist Church this morning, you're not confused. But if you didn't hear it, let me explain everything that took place. I woke up this morning at about 6 a.m. I wasn't really ready to wake up, but once I wake up, it's over because there's no way I'm going back to sleep because, well, I hate sleep. So once I wake up, it's over. And I did not want to get up, but I got up, got ready. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to go to the church early, right? I'm going to get to the church early, and I'll just try to do some recording, look over my sermon, just try to get everything ready to go. And There were things I couldn't find, and there was a couple of little, just your normal daily frustrations. Things weren't working out great. So I got here not as early as I thought I was going to get here, so I was a little irritated, but okay, fine. So I'm driving down the back county road that comes up to the church, and I'm looking up towards the church, and I'm like, those are horses. Why are there horses in front of our church in the middle of the road? I'm like, what is going on? So I get closer, and I finally park, and there's two horses literally like right in front of the church. And now my first thought is, oh no, if they continue walking, they're going to end up in the highway where cars are traveling at 75, 80 miles an hour. So, try to move them back. The horses were, they were just like, hey, they're not speaking, but I'm like, this is kind of the way they acted. Like, hey, what are you doing? They wanted my food. I wouldn't give them my food. And they kind of got irritated with me because I wouldn't give them what they wanted. And they started kind of moving the direction I needed them to move to get away from the church. Some people stopped. They started trying to call the sheriff. And then it turned into this big ordeal. You can listen to the live broadcast, the recording of the live broadcast when I was dealing with the horses. Because I just decided to go live because I knew at that point my morning recordings were not going to work. And I even tried to add a devotional thought in there. So at this point, even though things were going wrong this morning, at that point, I was still having a very spiritual outlook on it. Okay, let's look at this from a spiritual perspective. What spiritual lessons can I get from this? Okay, so that actually went pretty well. It messed up pretty much the whole morning, and so I didn't really get anything of significance recorded, and so that was really frustrating. But all right, get ready. 10 o'clock rolls around. All right. Go live for Sunday school. Sunday school, okay, I decided to continue listening to the programs, the podcast episodes from Discover the Word, examining how they're using James to talk about wisdom. We talk about some hermeneutical principles. I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was decent. I thought it added to the ongoing discussion. Maybe people weren't excited about it, but I still think it's an important concept. So got finished with that. All right, we have made it through the horses. Got past all of that. Everyone's gone from around the building. The sheriff's gone. Everybody's gone. So everything's calm. I made it through Sunday school. I think it was okay. I don't think anybody was I'm not going to get any like, oh, that was an amazing reaction, but I thought it was good. And I'm like, okay, church, we're going to look at Romans 5 and Genesis 5. I've got a lot of concepts. All right, it's going to take a while to try to work through this. It may seem a little tedious, but I think this is really good information, so I'm going to jump in. So we get started, and I teach for, I'm almost at an hour of teaching, all right? And I think some really, 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 really good stuff. And I'm sitting here, and all of a sudden I see a vehicle cut like where there's a highway next to the building, and then there's our parking lot. And all of a sudden a truck, I think it was a vehicle, I'll just say a vehicle, cuts right through the parking lot. And my car is right there, and I thought they were going to hit it from where I'm sitting right now. I can see kind of out of the window, and I'm like, whoa, that car just cut through our parking lot. Now, a lot of cars do that because they don't want to slow down in the highway and turn. So I'm like, okay, whatever. And all of a sudden, it looked like they stopped like right in front of the door. And I'm like, okay, what's going on? And I'm trying to teach. The whole time. And I'm not trying to give anything away because I don't want to mess up the recording. I've been teaching for an hour. Even, I still wasn't super happy with the teaching, but the last thing I wanted to do is mess up the recording. So I'm sitting there going, okay, what are they doing? Okay, I can't tell. I'm trying to teach. I'm trying not to sound distracted. And then all of a sudden, the door to the church comes flying open. And two individuals walk in like singing some hymn. I don't even know what's going on. They're singing, right? I don't even know what the hymn is because I'm just in utter shock. So I immediately reach up and mute the mic. I mute the mic as fast as I can because I don't really know what's going on. All right. And I'm sitting there just watching them. I'm just watching them, and they're walking towards me, and I'm just looking at them like my mind is just trying to process like what is happening, and really all I'm thinking is you just ruined an hour of teaching. Like I wouldn't, and I mean, really, my mind was more on my hour of teaching just got ruined. That's what I was really more focused on. Like, I can't post that on the internet. There's no way. Part of me then thought for a second, I'm going to turn on the mic. But then I'm like, maybe these people, need something. In other words, the goal wasn't to try to embarrass them because I didn't really understand what was going on. And they walk directly towards me. They're walking towards me. And I'm sitting at the very back of the church at a table that's put up here, right? And right in front of me is a pew. They come right up to where this last pew is. They walk into where the pew is, and they look at me, and they say, COVID-19 is a hoax. COVID-19 is a hoax. And I kind of lean back, and I'm just looking at them, and I'm like, okay. And they say, you need to meet the pastor in Tuscola. Tuscola is about, 2 miles down the road, a little small town down the road. And I'm just like, okay. And then they look at me, and I just kind of look at them. And then they're like, how do we get out of here? And I'm like, I wanted to say, how do you get out of here? Maybe the way you just came in. But I'm like, okay. So I stood up and I'm like, you can get out this. Well, they said, how can I get out of here? And they walked past me. Towards the back end of the church. So I got up and kind of followed them because I didn't know where they were going. And I'm like, well, you can get out this way. And I took them down the hallway, down past the nursery, down past all the classrooms, out the door. And then they just left. And I'm like, what was that all about, right? It was just this weird thing. And then I sit back down, and literally after I sit back down, and I go back on the air, I kind of wrap it up. And about the time I'm finished there, someone else walks through the door, just coming in and just, hey, how's it going? They didn't say much, and then they leave. And I'm like, what is going on? But what blew my mind was obviously the first individuals who came in telling me that COVID-19 is a hoax. Now, I don't know if they were looking for a reaction. To be honest, I don't know what they were going to do. They told me I need to meet a pastor in Tuscola. I don't know if there's a pastor in Tuscola who believes COVID-19 is a hoax. I don't know. I don't know why they came to tell me. Obviously, if they've listened to any of my recordings, I don't believe it's a hoax. I believe it's real. I don't believe the world is involved in a conspiracy. Okay. I don't believe that. I don't believe every country is just lying and every country is hyping. And I don't believe that I can discount the death numbers just because I heard some report from someone who knew someone who faked everything. No, I'm going to say it's real. It's a virus. People are dying. We need to take it serious. And you got medical professionals and doctors who are getting very angry now about all the COVID-19 deniers. So I'm just sitting here what is happening? So part of me, after it was all said and done, I was just sitting here going, okay, well, I got to delete that from the internet. So I deleted it. And then I sat here going, okay, they ruined that. An hour teaching gone. I'm going to have to redo that. But what ticked me off was, why would you walk into someone's church just to tell them that COVID-19 is a hoax? Like, how foolish, how absurd, how crazy do you have to be to engage in that kind of activity? Like I'm minding my own business. Why are you coming in here to tell me that? Like, who are you to come tell me? I'm not coming to you. Like, I don't get it. Like, what's your point? So I know I received some emails from people saying, I'd be curious to know what you said. To be honest, I said almost nothing. To be honest, I did not say anything. And here is the reason why. When they were speaking, in my brain, this is what was happening. You just ruined my recording. Second was like, I can't believe this is happening. And third, this is what came to my mind. All right? I'm going to read it. Answer not a fool according to his folly, lest thou also be like unto him. Proverbs 26:4, answer not a fool according to his folly, lest thou also be like unto him. Look, if you're dealing with someone who's denying COVID-19, denying and saying, numbers of death, people aren't dying, the masks don't work, all of these conspiratorial thinking, there's different pieces to it. trying to answer them according to their folly only typically just makes you look foolish. It's like there's always these groups of people out there who deny like basic reality, basic facts, and trying to talk to them, it's like it's meaningless. It's useless. And all I could think about is if I answer this person right now according to their folly, then it's not going to benefit. In fact, let me read it again. I'm going to be like unto him. I'm going to end up being as foolish as they are, and I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. They walked into a church. I don't know what their goal was. I don't know what they were thinking. I can't tell you. I don't even understand what they were trying to accomplish. I don't know what they would have done if this place was filled with people. If they were just going to come in singing and then telling us it's all a hoax. I don't know. I know we're in the middle of nowhere, and so who knows? I can't even get into their mind of what they were thinking. But I knew that any attempt was only going to make me foolish. Any attempt, I was going to be engaged in their foolishness. I was going to be engaging and I was going to become like them. So there was no, sometime, in fact, if you look at Proverbs chapter 26, you'll notice a very interesting thing. Verse 4 tells you to answer not a fool according to his knowledge, to his folly. But verse 5 says, answer a fool according to his folly, lest he be wise in his own conceit. Look, there's a time to answer a fool, and there's a time not to answer a fool. You don't want to answer a fool where you're going to end up being foolish. But there's a time to answer a fool so that you can help them not. In fact, let me read again the exact words from the verse because I don't want to say it in an incorrect way. Sometimes you want to answer a fool so that they will not be wise in their own understanding and their own conceit. Sometimes, look, if you can answer a fool and not, in a sense, become foolish, okay, then by all means do so. If you can answer a fool and help them not be wise in their own conceit, great. But if you're going to answer a fool and all it's going to do is make you like unto them, make you foolish, then don't do it. And you've got to have a level of wisdom to know when and when not to. All I can say, if someone's just going to walk into a church singing some hymn, walk up to a person sitting in the church and just say, COVID-19 is not real. COVID-19 is not real. And then ask, how do you get out of the building? Clearly, you're not dealing with someone who, there's no way to answer that kind of foolishness other than you becoming foolish. So, there's no point there. If this was a person engaged in a meaningful debate about COVID-19, and you would possibly try to help them not be wise in their own conceit and possibly try to help them so that they don't put their lives at risk or the lives of other people, and you want to possibly help them, then I think that's a good thing. You've got to know that difference. But I'm going to be honest with you. My mind was thinking that. But let me tell you, my mind was thinking it, but my emotions were I was mad. I was ticked off. I was angry. I was upset. I was just because it just brings up, it was like, it was symbolic of all my frustration I've had with so many Christians in regards to COVID-19. All the arguing, all the fighting, all the debating, all the conspiracies, all the Christian radio. And for crying out loud, if they're Christians, they came in singing a hymn, so I'm assuming they at least think they are. Then they possibly listen to local Christian radio. And 91.3 FM in the Abilene, Texas area, which is American Family Radio, all they are COVID-19 deniers for the most part. They believe it's all a hoax. They believe it's all attempt to control us and take away our freedoms and to get, Donald Trump out of the White House, because if he doesn't get reelected, the whole world is over and we're all going to die and Satan is going to take over. I don't know. But if you listen to some of the things on American Family Radio, that's the attitude you get. And I'm just sick that in Christianity during the middle of a global pandemic, we're running around claiming that it's not real. And that makes me fed up with Christianity. So I'm going to tell you, I did not want to answer a fool to become like him, but I'll be honest with you. I also knew that if I started talking, that I wasn't going to be godly. Now, the bad part is, if